Hello, everyone. Welcome to the September version of our NDISCO'S Village Meeting podcast, where we talk about Africa, society, and culture. This is your host or hostess, like many people call me, Dr. Maslina M.OPARAOJI. Welcome to the month of September, and welcome to our episode number 4040, Series 2. Today, we have um, stepped into that area that I talked to you about that we're going to venture into, um, sh- talking to people about their experiences, especially the young ones, sharing with us what they encounter from time to time. And hopefully, at the end, most of you, the young ones especially, and the parents, will be able to understand that sometimes these young ones, their triumphs and challenges are the same all over the world in whatever regions they come from, but there are also differences. And when I say that, it does not mean to put any of their struggles or their triumphs um, at the lower pedestal. No, it's to highlight that when we, the adults, for example, or elders or their parents, are sharing thoughts with them, or redirecting or helping to direct their efforts, we need to be cognizant of their environment or where they are. So today, we're starting with a young one that I will give the chance to introduce herself. She's very important to me and to the world in general, because of who she is. And let me stop there and ask my special one, Miss Chino Cyril-Nwokeke, to introduce herself. Hi, sweetie. Welcome to Disco's Village podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Auntie. I am really glad to be on this finally. um, Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you guys. My name is China. I am an IC nurse. I'm currently based in the US. I immigrated to the US in 2017, and that experience really shaped my drive and perspective on living and opportunities in general. Um, since then, I've I've schooled in the US. I graduated and currently working in critical care as a nurse. Outside of work, I am passionate about like watching TV, Broadway shows, going to the movies, meal prepping, and traveling with friends. But I also love like simple joys, like just going to a nice restaurant and having good conversations. I am excited to be here today and share my journey and hopefully help some others who are navigating ambition, growth, and new beginnings. So thank you so much again for having me, Auntie.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I like your array of uh, the aspects where you relax and stuff. But also, you forgot that you are also cultural. You like the culture aspect. We will talk more about that.
Yep,
Um,
100%.
well, some people wonder why, of all people, I choose some people that come on my podcast. Chino, or Chino, sorry, for all those who don't know, it's dear to me because I got to know her in the US. She originally is from Mbise, a daughter to Mr. and Mrs. Cyril-Nwokeke of Mbise. I never knew until we started talking about her background, and then I got to know she was one of those very few who, because of her ability and her, smartness, was able to get admissions directly from Nigeria,
Mhm.
from the U.S. schools, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And she was brought, sent in to do a professional program in pharmacy, right?
Yeah, that's
And
correct. Yeah.
yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit about why, she changed a little bit, but hasn't not. She has not lost that ambition that she has of her goals. Um, but then she traveled with her friend who I got to know the mom. And then getting here, I found two young ladies who made life for themselves in a land they know nothing about.
Hmm.
And I didn't do much when I was introduced to them as their second mom in the US. Um, I never did anything much for them but to listen. And I shared when they laughed and when they cried and when they wanted to vent. And they
Yeah.
never asked for much. Yeah. That's the pride I have for you, especially you. You made it so easy that sometimes I wonder, like, how did
Sometimes
she do it?
you really just need someone to talk to. Like you just it doesn't like you don't really need the money or anything, like no food. You just need someone to talk to. Like that's
Yeah,
really just all that matter,
yeah,
like a mother figure, like especially like when my mom not being here or
yes,
with the time difference, like I
yes,
can't call her at night to, if I really
yes,
want to vent. So it
yes.
really like you really like bridge that gap, and it means so much. Like,
Oh,
especially like when you're in a no man's land,
yes,
like as I when I came, like I was still 17, and sometimes like I really want to speak to my mom at like 9 p.m., but I can't call her at
mhm,
like 9 p.m. That's like 3 a.m. Nigerian time, so
yes,
that's like really hard. So it was
yes,
nice to pick up the phone and call you. You were just here like a call away. You would I remember you would speak, we would be on the phone for like an hour or two, just talking
yes,
about like random things, like culture shocks
yes,
and differences, and that
yes.
really helped so much, believe it or not.
Oh, I'm so glad to that. You see, I have this. I'm so proud of you guys. And when I tell that, people don't know. And unless your story came up like this, people don't know the background. When I say to them, our young ones, majority of them are just great. They are wonderful. And you
Yeah.
are one of those. The way you
Oh,
picked up the culture, I didn't do much. You never asked for a penny. You never asked for anything, but you navigated. I listened. You talked. You
hmm.
shared what dreams you had and what is going on in your school and how you want to navigate uh, that. And in comparison to what you know about Nigeria coming to the US, not knowing the grounds, and but
Oh
the way
yeah.
you picked it up and including your education, that is still a marvel to me. Let me tell you that. And guess what? You went to a place where it was so cold,
Oh my
and
gosh. It was like, oh my, it was so crazy. Like it made the culture shock like way worse because,
yes,
and I remember the first time I got there, that was the time when the temperatures for the winter went to sub-zero. I've never
yes,
experienced this in my life before. Cause like in Nigeria, like we don't even have winter, okay? Like it's only like when it's raining or during like the Hamatan season, that's when it's like it gets cold. So I'm coming
yeah,
over here. It's snowing. It's sub-zero. Everywhere's slippery outside. I'm
yeah,
like, oh my god, like what is going on? Like it was
yeah,
just like, but
yeah.
now I'm used to it.
Yes, yes. It's because some of your colleagues, some of them had threatened to go back home. And I remember the first time I came to the US, going to Minnesota, where
Oh
we're going to talk
yeah.
about that. And that was where the school was. And our plane had to be diverted to Detroit because of blizzard.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I came down and my face was almost frozen. I like, I want to go back to the sun in Nigeria. And then somebody said, I don't know people living here. So we had to adjust real
Oh
quick.
yeah.
And the other day I was talking to one of our colleagues who we schooled back there. I said, remember when we used to carry our stuff 7 flights
Oh my
instead and
gosh.
watch black and white TV when we were already enjoying color TV in Nigeria. So
Oh
I
my
was shocked.
goodness.
But I am so proud of you. And you came
I'm
to
so
do
proud of you.
pharmacy, and seeing
Yeah.
even that you had scholarship,
Yeah.
it wasn't enough.
Oh no, no, like
Yes.
that's just that's kind of like what they don't tell you. Cause and again, like I'm not discouraging anybody, but like, you get the scholarship, they don't tell you like the scholarship is just like 2% of like
Mm-hmm.
what like you're gonna get. That's just I feel like that's kind of like a cover of charge if you ask me,
Yes.
because you know how like when you people when you're not from the state you pay like out of state fee where you're in, they
Mm-hmm.
pay like a state fee. I feel like most times like when you get like those scholarships, sometimes they're great, but sometimes like they really just cover that out of state fee, and then like you just gotta pay like the actual tuition and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was a good gateway, a good pathway, but that barely did nothing, honestly.
Yeah. So that's where your parents had to squeeze whatever they could,
Oh my gosh,
and
like
then
bless
you get
their
into the school
soul.
agreement. Yeah. To
Bless
to
their soul.
to
Oh my
to
goodness.
pay little by little, and
Oh
I
yeah.
know you had to go into working in school, finding a job in school
Yeah,
to help
yeah.
you
It
out.
was yeah, and that was at the point where I decided to switch my major because
Yes.
at first, because like you said, I was a pharmacy major at first.
Yes.
It just wasn't like really what I wanted to do. So it got
Mhm.
kind of like annoying, like where I was like, struggling and paying for these classes, and this is like not something I want to do. So
Mhm.
I decided to switch my major to nursing, which was really perfect. It was leaning towards everything I wanted, like the whole both the patho and pharmacology and aspect. So switched to that, leaned into that. So it was really nice when I switched over and I knew I was actually like working and taking these classes, which actually I liked and helped me like succeed it. But yeah, it was a really difficult run, but I'm really grateful to God Almighty because without him, I really don't know where I would have been today in the whole
Amen.
process.
Amen to
God,
that.
no,
Amen to that.
100%. Like things were definitely tough, but I prayed so much. With the help of my parents, my friends, you, Auntie, I did succeed.
I know you. You see, this is why sometimes I say to people, the value you instill in your children to start with will take them a long way. And I cannot stop to give praise and credit to your parents for job well done. I met them first time, I think 2 years ago when they surprised me. I came to home to the village, and I saw this big turkey that I have never. I don't know. They breeded such big turkeys, and they said, "We came to thank you. We have never met you for your kindness." I'm like, no, she is self-made. You gave birth to a wonderful human being. I couldn't. I'm one of those blessed to have met her. Um, and you remember when we talked, we
Yes.
never, and when we talked about your switching to something that you know that will get you job fast because you know you're suffering that your parents have gone through to help. You don't want to put them through that anymore.
Yeah.
And you wanted where you could do that. So I didn't even dissuade you, but what I did was ask you questions a whole lot,
Yeah.
and one of those was, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years or so? And what do you think the future of your new profession will take you? And such things. And you went and did your homework. We did homework.
Yep.
And
Yep.
said,
Yeah.
even if you decide you want to go do medicine, which is
Exactly.
another goal, this is a stepping stone, right? So nothing
Yeah,
is too
and
late.
yeah, and that was like one of the things that that's where my train of thought was going because initially
Mhm.
my whole life, like I always wanted to be a doctor, but it was I never even wanted to do nursing. Honestly, like it was just
Yeah.
I was like hell bound, like I'm gonna be a doctor. I'm gonna be a doctor. So and that was kind of like my mistake because I never knew like if you think about it, like in the medical field, like the doctors they do great jobs, but they don't really have that that patient contact, like like they're just like in the room, they're out of the room, they don't spend time with the patients to see what's going on and all. So that's why I did my homework. I went and researched it. I saw like the roles of like the doctors in the US. I saw the roles of nurses in the US. And then diving into the field of nursing, I found out that like it's a really spontaneous and lucrative field where you can just have that degree. You need just like a year to experience, and then the sky's your limit. You can do anything, you
Yes.
can advance, or even like still at the bachelor level, you can still do like, even if you don't want to do bedside nursing, you could go do like aesthetics, you could go do outpatient,
Mhm.
IR, or, it's just really flexible, really spontaneous. There's great job security. So I was like, yeah, like, this is what I want to do. I did not come to the US to waste my time. I mean, I'm
Yes.
not saying like I'm not saying pharmacy is not, no, this is not. But like it was just at that moment, it was just like not for me. Like I have a lot of friends who are actually like pharmacists right now, and we all started this journey together. But I was like, no, I have to like pull out and do like, something that works for me. So that was when
Yes.
I took the big step to I remember when I was switching my majors to nursing, because I did flunk a couple classes when I was doing pharmacy, and that kind of like
Mhm.
messed with my GPA a little bit. I remember
Mm.
switching to nursing. The advisor, he was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Your GPA doesn't look really stellar. You should try something else." I was like, "No, mm-mm. I
Yeah.
want to be a nurse. I'm gonna do this. Like, you can tell me what I cannot do. Like, you're supposed to be
Yeah.
encouraging me. That's your job." And as
Yeah.
God may have it, I applied to the nursing program that summer, and I got in. Thank God. So um
Excellent.
everything was went by. It was tough. It was really tough, honestly. Those nursing classes, they're no joke. So everything went by smoothly. Graduated, got my degree, and yeah, now I'm currently living the dream.
Yes. Along the way that happened. And I am glad because you chose a different route to this. And
Right.
I keep mentioning there were two of you, and I know that other person more, but
Yeah.
you placed your fingers on the pulse. And what I mean by that is you hit the grounds running. You did your homework. You
Yeah.
knew the right questions to ask to your school authorities. And
Right.
that's one thing that I wanted to share with the other young ones who may be seeking admissions or who are already here.
Hmm.
The fact that if you keep your mouth shut, you don't ask the right
Oh
questions.
no.
I remember some during our conversation, you say, "Auntie, I'm going to ask my supervisor X, Y, Z." I said, "Go for
Yeah.
it." I
100%.
reminded, I reminded you what my father used to tell me when I was growing up. He says, and then ask your questions. They either say yes, no, or maybe,
Yeah,
right?
worst thing I can say is like
Yeah.
I remember when I went to when I was always asking questions. I went to like one of I think he's like one of the dean at my schools, and this thing has always been in my head since he told me. He said, "Closed mouths don't get fed." And ever
Yes.
since he told me that, I literally, that's what I tell myself before I go anywhere. You know what? Closed mouths don't get fed. I need to. Worst thing a person can say is no. It's not gonna hurt anybody. Just you. At least you know you did it. And when I told him that, he literally said that the first time. I think, what did I even go to him? I think I went to ask for him for. I can't remember something about like, I think it was something about like my scholarship, because I had like a lot of questions about that, and I
Yeah.
needed like an adjustment. And then I went to him, and then he was like, "Why didn't you come to me earlier to ask about this?" I was like, "I
Yeah.
don't know, like I was really scared and nervous." And he was like, "Pam, closed mouths don't get fed, okay? Like
Yeah.
how am I supposed to know if you don't say anything?"
Yeah.
And ever since then, I'm just anywhere I go, I'll ask. I'm gonna ask. I would definitely ask till you get
Yeah.
tired of me. Like I don't care. Like
No,
as long
no,
as I get my
no, no. And that was what I was proud of you. I'm still proud of you about is that, and that's a lesson for one of the lessons for those back home who are trying to get admission or who already are here.
Hmm.
Ask questions, go to the
Yeah.
authorities. That's the nice thing about this, and which may be also a difference between going to school at home and going to school here.
Right.
Is that in at home you may not ask questions, you may not have that audacity to ask, but
Exactly. Yeah.
in diaspora, whether it's in UK, Canada, or US, you
Yeah.
have the right to ask questions. So
Exactly,
ask.
100%. Yeah, because like I said, coming with that Nigerian school mentality where there's like this little kind of like a stigma to ask like the people in authority these questions like, oh, how dare you ask that question to the principal?
Yes.
How dare so that it wasn't me like, oh my God, like how dare I ask the dean questions? But they're really welcoming. It's like they're really no, and I remember those times you kept telling me like, they love communication, communicate with these people. You kept saying
Yes.
that. And that's why it's
Yeah.
like, okay, every day I'm sending a new email. Every day I'm like, hey, can we set up a meeting to talk? Like, let me touch base.
Yeah.
Like, let me circle back on this and that. And it was they love that communication because when something happens, they can circle back and be like, oh, we did talk about this. You did come
Yes.
to me about this. So
Yes.
you didn't like keep quiet about it and like everything just
Yes.
went sideways. So that way they have proof that something was actually said and they know how to help you in the future.
Do you think back home, when I say back home, whether any country or any aspects of learning in Africa, especially in Nigeria, that
Mhm.
students also have that capacity to ask, but they're afraid to ask? Do you think that's what's going on?
I think it is honestly because like I said, even as much as like I did my education up to the secondary level, I was even scared to ask sometimes to ask my teachers, like not even like the people in authority. I was scared to ask my teachers stuff because and that's what I kind of like ponder about like growing up. Like teachers back home, they instill that fear in you where it's like you can't really ask them anything because of the whole, and it's not even like a thing of disrespect or I'm trying to be rude or anything. Like I really just ask
Mhm.
questions. I remember like sometimes like when I would ask a question like to my teachers in secondary school, some people would reply things like, why would you ask something like that? It's
Yes.
just like kind of like being condescending, like or like they'll call you crazy for, but whole time like
Yes.
it's just like a legit question, like or it's like or maybe like they taught something and then you circle back and be like, hey, I didn't understand this lecture. Can you break it down for me? And some of them, instead of like being nice, like, okay, come to my office hours, come see me, they would say things like, oh, what were you doing when other people were concentrating? Da, da, da.
Mhm.
Like it becomes like a whole thing. Like so when students like grow up with that mindset in Nigeria, when they come over here, everyone's like everyone I it happened to me. I was scared to ask my teachers questions. I was scared to ask my professors questions because it's like I don't want anybody yelling at me saying like, why didn't I listen, like during classes. Like it was just, and that was one of the culture shocks like I saw when got over here.
Is that you
So
can you can freely ask questions, unlike
100%, yeah. Because I remember I started my freshman year. I was taking biology, and that was kind of like a little bit difficult. So I asked the teacher, like I remember one time I went after class. I was like, hey, I didn't really understand this lecture. Like, can you break it down? Oh, she was like, yeah, like look at the syllabus. Come to my office hours, and we can talk about it. I was so shocked. I was like,
no, but
I was
this is
like,
what is going on. I think you just hit it, it on the head.
yeah,
That I maybe I am. Let me play the devil's advocate. That maybe our teachers back home are not averse to not asking questions, but that the students are afraid to ask. Yeah, some of them may put you down, but I don't
yeah,
think 100% of. And this is an example. My son went to school also. He was born here, but went to school in Nigeria. He wanted to
yeah,
try. And
right,
so at the secondary school level, he lived in the dormitory
right,
and they
yeah,
were serving them food that he knew that most of them didn't like. And
right,
they, they still cooked the food, and most of the time, nobody ate the food. And at the point, and maybe the mindset he had here, he had to approach. He called a few of the students, let's go, ask the principal or let the principal know that we don't like the menu.
yeah,
And at the last minute, most of them withdrew. He was
yeah,
sharing that, but he boldly went with one person and his house prefect or so,
yeah,
and they went and asked. And to cut the long story short, the principal had no idea that they didn't like the food. And eventually, he was invited by the principal along with some others to help, create or, improve on the menu. so
Right.
that they will eat. And that's happened. So and he came home telling us, I don't think maybe it's just the authorities not listening. It's like the students are afraid to go ask.
No, 100%. Because
Yeah,
if you think about it, if a student is scared at that grassroots level to talk to like just the actual teacher who's always in the class with you, do you think they're gonna like want to talk to like the main boss, like the
yeah,
top person? Like that is just
yeah,
like way scary. And even like you said your story, I had the experience before. I remember where it's like where in secondary school, like I would try to like advocate for something, but then, like, when you're advocating, they see you as being rebellious. But I'm really not. Like, I just
yeah.
like my parents are paying for my parents are
Yes,
paying for this. Like, why should I like be accustomed to this? Like, that's not okay. So we pay like I remember we pay science fee or stuff, or we pay
mhm,
for
mhm.
labs, I believe. But then it's like, why are you having me share like equipment in the lab? If I'm paying
Yes,
for it, little things like this. So when you speak up about it, even to the lab attendant, is like, oh, you're being disrespectful, or you're
yeah,
being this, you're being,
yeah.
it's just, I don't know. So,
That's one
it,
aspect we'll have to
um,
change.
oh,
So,
100%.
yes. What are the assumptions? And this is another aspect that when you got here, and I remember that first, it says, Auntie, that I cannot till my parents bring in money. I got to find a way. And we talked about you talking to them. There are school jobs that you could do because I know the school system here will not give you lots of hours to work that will interfere with your
Yeah,
education. But you can
yeah,
make small money at least to buy food with. And
yeah.
then you ventured into that. Tell us a little bit about it, how you got jobs and
Oh my
what
gosh, it
working
was
as.
so funny. I remember so basically most of the as an international student, you first I think you only have to work on campus for
Yes,
I believe 20 hours a week. Yeah.
yes.
So most of the jobs then were like food service jobs, working as a cashier and all that stuff.
Mhm,
So that was like where I started from, okay? And
mhm,
we would do. I remember me and my friend. We would work like after classes.
mhm,
So I think like we would do like the closing shifts like 5 to like 9 p.m. So that was
mhm.
just like we started off like with 3 4 hour shifts and eased into it. So that was like a very very big culture shock. Like especially
Yes.
how we don't work. Like we don't work like because here everyone literally
Yes.
from middle school everyone starts working. Like you start working at Taco Bell, McDonald's, like
Yes.
at the mall you start working. But it's like there we don't I have no like I have like no knowledge of like working at all. So coming over here starting that was kind of like really I didn't know how to explain that, but I was really excited though because I was getting money. That was a
Yes.
good thing. I was getting money.
And skills. And skills too. Then
Yep,
you
and
got
I was
you
like
knew how to
learning.
flip
I was
burgers now.
yeah, and that's how, and that was the way I learned how to interact with people because
Yes.
like I said, like it was in my class, like I was really shy, so I didn't really talk to people much. So, but like at work, I made friends with my coworkers, so I learned how to interact with people. I learned more about the culture. I was making money. So, but I did that job for I think I was doing for I think I did it for like over a year.
Yes, you did.
Um, and then that was when, so after working at the fast food, I started doing. I was serving. My school had the basketball games and the football games. They had like the patrons, like the suites, the loges.
Mhm.
So they had this restaurant over there. So I went up to start like working over there as a server, which was great because I was getting tips as well. Because
Yes.
tips are good. So
Yes.
I was
Yes.
getting tips working as a server. And that was where I learned about like and that was actually where I learned about nursing because I remember I networked and I will touch back on that again. Networking is really great because it also boils down to the whole communication thing again. Like you're not
Yes.
gonna get anywhere with your mouth closed. So I remember I was serving and then one of the patrons, I was talking to her while I was serving her, and she was telling me about like how she's I think she was like a director or something at this hospital, like one of the hospitals in the city. And
Mhm.
we spoke at length, and I was telling her like I'm really at a crossroads right now between like switching my majors from pharmacy to nursing. I really don't know, like it's really iffy for me. We spoke so much, and then she ended up giving me her card to like contact her, and like we can talk about it more, which was so great. And I did. Right after, when I was working there, went home. After a couple of days, I emailed her and touched base with her. So we spoke at length about like the whole nursing thing and all. Invited me to the hospital, did a whole shadowing shift. Loved the job. It was really great.
So
Then
that
after
was
that,
not working doing that for you,
yeah,
within
exactly.
a
Because
job. Yeah.
100%, because like I wouldn't even have known, like I wouldn't even have known. Like I remember that night very well. Like it was a basketball game. We were talking about it. After that,
Yeah.
touched the base. I followed up. I emailed her. I was like, hey, this is Pam. Just following up on, you told me to reach out to you. Da, da, da. Da." She was like, oh yeah. Do you want to stop by the hospital for a shadow shift, like to see like if you would like, like being the nursing and all. So and I did, and that worked out
And
perfectly
I'm
well.
glad you followed up.
Oh,
I remember we was talking
100%.
about this. One
Yeah.
of the things I used to tell you guys is, you and your friend, I said, the more you are open to understanding other culture and really opening up. I used to encourage you guys to just don't school and work. Go to the social activities. Um,
100%.
go to go to
No,
those and meet
seriously.
other people. But I always caution you though to the culture here in the diaspora is a little bit different from home. You don't trust that much,
Hmm.
but you trust.
No. Yeah.
But at the back of your head, you always have those seeking you for the kingdom of books, and everything else will be
No.
padded to you. But in that case, go out and have fun. And then you guys started mingling and
Yeah.
all these opportunities and knowledge. I remember one time we were talking about you guys were craving Nigerian food. So far away, I packaged some of the Nigerian items, but then before it came to you, said, Auntie, oh, this is a surprise. Thank you. But we went to Walmart and we were able to buy some things that
Oh my
I'm like,
god.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh my god. I'm just having like really nostalgic
yes.
memories.
I'm like, good. So I didn't bother again because I was
Oh my
feeling the that
gosh.
I
That
was,
was so
So
funny.
you guys, you did great. So one of the things we are encouraging them at home is send those children out to have real life experiences, and that also helps them build skills, like you
Yeah.
have found out. And it's
Yeah.
not just here. When you had mentioned that these students go out there to work from middle school, it's not just the children of the poor. The children of the rich also are asked to go
Oh
out there.
yeah,
Yes,
100%. 100%. Like no, like
yes,
they don't give them what's it called? Like because when you think about it, like the things like people want here, like it's so much. Everyone wants to buy shoes, everyone wants to go to concerts, everyone wants to buy
yes,
clothes. But your parents are not they're not gonna give you that money for shoes.
yes.
The shoes here average okay. Instance, we're talking about shoes. Some shoes, like this kids these days, they're like really mainstream trending stuff. So these
Mhm.
shoes, they cost about like, $100, $150. No parent is gonna like put their hand in their purse and like bring out, oh, here's $100, go buy some shoes. Like you didn't work for that money. I'm not giving it to you, no. So,
Yes,
they start like that's when they start working like at the mall, they work at Chick-fil-A, they work at Taco Bell. You
yes,
get like this money because they know like you have to work and they develop that mindset early. You have to work for what you want. If you want something, you got to put in the hours. You got to pick up that extra shift and work for what you want. So, and that's kind of like low key. I wouldn't say it's our flaw. It's really just our economy back home. Because if we had a great economy, honestly, like a
yes.
lot of us would have started like working early. Because I noticed like even when I was in secondary school, a lot of us had like this mindset or like this business oriented mindset because I
Mhm.
was in a boarding school and we used to do the thing where it's like people would sell like like they would sell sweets to get money or they would sell like candies
Mhm.
to get money and that's like what that business mindset was but it's just the economy of the country like if we had a great economy like I know like a lot of people we don't like asking our parents for money no like things are
Yes,
already hard and then I'm walking up to my parents like hey can you like run me some money for it no I remember
yeah.
back then I used to work for my money like not like it's like an indirect term because I would do stuff for my parents and like they would like compensate me by giving me like a little like
Yeah,
500 naira, which was so
yeah,
great. I would
yeah, yeah,
always like do I would run errands for my dad. I would like wash his car. I would
yeah.
just do
Put
like
you to
random
task.
things and
Put you
like
to task.
yeah, exactly.
I
And they
was
would give me money.
yeah. I
It's
used
not
to
it's
tell
not it's not
somebody
free
that
money, but I was getting paid.
it's not even for money's sake. I remember when we come back on vacations, my mom will ask us to go to the farm. 5
Yeah.
a.m. You guys are up before the sun, that heat starts coming. You guys are done. I'll never forget those skills. During the holidays, they will send us to seamstresses or cake bakers
Yeah. Oh
to go
yeah.
learn and a
Yeah.
few hours of the day and to just be able to use the needle and
Yeah.
do your own, patching of your own clothes. I still
Yeah.
remember those till the day. And those are skills that at the time, I don't know whether that our parents forget to make this our children understand that aspect, and that is the difference between home and here. That
Yeah.
here, you are made to do that. You know
Yep.
your friends are doing it, so you can do it. But back
Exactly.
home,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's kind of like seeing like I remember when my parents like when they found out that I was working, my mom especially, oh my God, she would
yes,
like cry and be like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm
yes,
okay. Like everyone does it here. Like I
yes,
don't feel weird. And she was
no,
always like crying, like, oh my God, like my
yes,
baby's work because I forgot
yes,
to preface. I'm like the third out of like four kids. So,
yeah.
she's always like, oh my baby's working, my baby. I'm like, bro, stop.
See, we need to encourage people to think that way that you are thinking, to convince mom that it's not punishment
Right.
to ask my little one to walk or to observe others work. It doesn't have to be for money all the time, but the
No,
building of skills that will help you
exactly.
down the line. Yeah.
Like I remember some when I was back home, someone was like, this is like right after I think a little after secondary school. I think when I was secondary school. Anyways, we were talking about like like side hustles, like working like during the holidays to get money. And I remember one of my friends' mom was like, "No, don't do that." And I was like, "Why?" She was like, "So people don't think we're poor." And I'm like, "That's the mentality." No, I'm serious.
It's all that kind of status.
Exactly, that's the
Yeah.
mentality like a lot of people have. Like when
Yes.
you're working, it means like, oh, you're poor, and like your parents can like give you like enough pocket money to like cover your needs and all. And it's like
Exactly.
no, you're building skills. Like you're learning. Most of my communication skills, like most of the things I learned that at work. Like people like get so
Yes.
surprised, like, oh, how did you adapt so quickly? How did your
You
accent
don't
help
even
you learn that?
you don't even have an accent. Yeah, yeah. So,
Like
so
when you're talking all the time to these people, like you understand.
yes. So those are some of the aspects. And let's talk about the studying aspect.
Yeah.
Back home, I know that I was guilty of that. We will study towards exams real hard.
Oh my
Um,
god.
but here, you never know when they're gonna spring that test on you in
No.
class or anyhow. Tell us a little bit about the
No.
shock.
Oh yeah, cause okay, first of all, I will start from like not even the studying, but the class. I remember when I remember my first year I had a class. It was 8 o'clock to 8:50 a.m. Okay, so I'm getting my me with my Nigerian mentality. I'm getting to the class at 8 o'clock. Like 8 o'clock is me. Sorry,
Mhm,
leaving my dorm, getting to the class. I'll get to the class 8:05, and I'm the
mhm.
last person coming in, and I'm thinking like, what is wrong with this people? Like, why? Thinking like, why are they
Why
still
can't they be
so
late for once, huh?
no, like but so that was I did it like a couple of times, but then I'm thinking like, oh my god, like I don't want to like keep missing these early stuff like attendance and everything. So I
Hmm.
noticed that like these people they actually get to the class before 8 o'clock. Okay,
Professor,
so like
yes,
if a class is slated for 8 o'clock, people are sitting at 7:45. You even
yes,
coming at 8 o'clock or 7:55, it means you're running late. So
yes.
that was like where I started it from. So that was where I started like building that habit of like, okay, I have a class at 8 o'clock. I'm leaving my dorm at 7:30 so I can get there at 7:45. Now, to get into the studying aspect, in Nigeria we have this thing where it's like you only study during exams.
Mhm.
That is just the beginning of failure. That is the beginning, especially when you're from freshman, sophomore, in my nursing, like you literally have to start like study, even turning in an assignment. That's studying. I remember you go when I after work, I used to go to the library like because I'll get off work at 8 p.m. straight to the
Mhm.
library. The library didn't close till midnight, so I remember I would be in the library till midnight, and I didn't even feel weird because the library was always packed. You're wondering why is the library packed
Mhm.
during like
Mhm.
mid semester? Like
Mhm.
everyone's just studying. If I studied literally after every class, and that's one of the reasons why I flunked my first biology class because I was only like studying during
For the
exam.
exams.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! Like it was a whole thing. Like I flunked that class so bad because that was like my first classes when I first got to the U.S. So I was always studying during the exam period. I would never study like during after assignments or tests or anything. I was just like whatever I guess. And when it got to the exam period, it was a whole lot of content, mind you. This is not even high school content
Yes.
anymore. This is like college content, and that was like and which brings me to like that was like the whole college system was like my introduction to like the whole grading and GPA stuff because like in
Yes.
Nigerian like high school,
Yes.
secondary school, they don't do like GPA, so we don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know that like if I get a D in this class or if I
You
get an
remember?
F in this class.
You, you remember the early conversation we had when I asked you and your friend to make a schedule,
Right.
put everything in your schedule so it's at a glance. Because
Oh yeah,
I
you
one of
did.
the things,
You told us to
yeah,
get a planner. It was a
get a
planner. Yeah.
planner, put everything
Yeah.
in there. Why? Because back home, there is this point of, okay, you get a B or A, it will take you a long way. But here,
Yeah.
you can get an A in one of the tests and then you got a C and it pulls it down
That would
to
drive
a
me so.
B.
Oh
Or it's so
yeah.
dynamic. And so, you never know. So I always tell you guys the A you make, try to keep up with that A. Maybe if you fall to a B, then going to a C or D because then it
Yeah.
messes everything up. Yes.
And that
Which
would
is not
help
the
you
same
so
way.
well because like that would because
Yeah.
I remember there are like some classes where I would the tests, the assignments, I would get like A's in them, but then like when it gets to like the final, I would kind of
Mhm.
like get like maybe a B or a C, which would like
Mhm.
drop my overall grade to like, an A minus. So I would reach out
Yes.
to the teachers and be like, hey, is there like anything I can do to like get an A? Since
Yes.
I did all my stuff. So like the teachers would like go back and be like, okay, I see you've been doing this. Just write this little paper so I can bump your grade up. Okay. I remember one of my teacher, I think it was chemistry. I remember this very well because I did a chemistry and I ended up like in the entire, after my exams and everything, I had an A minus, but I wanted an A. So I told her, I was like, hey, what can I do like, to get an A? She was like, well, you've been doing great on the assignments. I know the final could be hard. Just write a paper on, I think something about like molecules or atoms, and I did, and I got an A, and that all
Yes.
boils down to the aspect of communication.
They give
Because
you
if you don't,
opportunities.
yeah, if
Yes.
you don't reach out
Yes.
to them I would have ended up with an A minus, and I don't want an A minus. I wanted an A. So, yeah, that's how it was.
That's a word. And I know that there are so many aspects that are different. Now let's flip the coin because I always like to be fair.
Yeah.
What what is it about schooling in Nigeria that you wish continued here? Because here is really is not that good. You would rather it was in Nigeria that you were schooling instead of here. Is there anything that could prompt your mind?
Hmm.
That is
Honestly,
better off back home than here? Or is there anything actually about schooling? I know you didn't do your university level back home, but even at that,
I feel
apart
like
from yeah, go ahead.
with like the secondary level and like the
Mhm.
elementary level. I don't know. You know what? I just feel like just experiencing like, both parts. I feel
Mhm.
like don't get me wrong, like learning in Nigeria is good. It's not bad at all. I feel
Yes.
like it was just the like, the infrastructure, like the delivery level,
Mhm.
like the whole like there are schools that had like good teach. I went to a federal school. We were funded
Okay.
by the government, okay?
There you
And
go.
even when I was, I mean now maybe it's sideways, but when I was in the school, I know for a fact we were getting good funding from the government
Mm-hmm.
to have like good things, well equipped stuff, okay? But it was just like it was just never like getting down to us, okay? I
Mm-hmm.
remember like some classes would have like what is it called? Like magnetic boards and things like that. But then like they would
Mm-hmm.
never use it. Like they would just like close it and be like, "Oh, don't touch it." And I'm thinking
Yeah.
like, but you know, it was like funded for, you know, it's like these little gaps that are so annoying, like when it comes to like the system back home. If it's not like if the delivery model like was not bad at all, but like it was just okay, it's just the aspect of like sometimes I think about it like it's the way like we used to copy so much notes. Now I'm not getting, don't get me wrong, like
Yeah.
it builds skills, okay, it builds
Mm-hmm.
resilience, because
Yes.
I feel like if I started off like doing the way it's like, oh, PowerPoint classes, email me my notes, you know, there's like things to do here like early on, I would have been lazy and I wouldn't even want to like do anything. So I feel like it's nice, like, you know, tasting both sides.
Yes.
You really like get what you pay for. I never went to like I never went to like a private secondary school, but I have like friends who did go to like private secondary schools, and it's really like a mix of both. They pay like so much money, so some of them really get like what they're paying for. Okay, like they're
Yeah.
paying like per semester, they're paying like up to like 1 million a semester.
Yes.
My school was free tuition. I was just paying for the fees and all that stuff, so I wasn't really expecting much. But I mean, it was really funded by the alumni association and the government, so we were getting kind of like getting what we paid for. Okay.
But
um
the bottom line there is, that if, I mean, the Nigerian student
yeah,
was given same opportunity like you got when you came here, like the equipment, the teachers who are freely being
yeah,
given stuff to use to really impact that knowledge,
yeah,
and also exposed to doing school, having skills while the students are,
yeah.
yeah, it will equate to what you had in the
Oh,
US. Am I right?
100%. I don't think like people would be like, you know, running to leave the country to like, you know,
Yeah.
study abroad, because
Yeah.
when you think about it, the if you think, if you're living in Nigeria and you think like, oh, I'm not about to go pay millions of naira to get what I'm getting here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because the reason why people
Mm-hmm.
come is because like they feel like the education system like isn't good. So they're
Mm-hmm.
coming here for more better education, better opportunities and stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
if there is a school in a city or a state where it's like students it's really like it's really what's it called, internet savvy, there's
Mm-hmm.
wi-fi on campus, you students don't have to like write their notes all the time, they email their notes, teachers have office hours where you can actually like go to their office hours and get things. It's the syllabus is really straightforward, they lay out the syllabus at the start of the semester and keep
And
going
teachers are
like
paid.
teachers are thank you, teachers are paid well, and so like wait,
Yes.
if there is a school like that, I don't think like anyone would like people would rather like pay more to go to that school in Nigeria
Yeah.
than, because we, especially like now with like the dollar rate increasing and stuff, a semester in a school could be, is not less than, I want 15 million naira. So
Yeah.
if you're thinking if a school in Nigeria is gonna pay, if you're gonna pay 1 million or 2 million a semester in that school in Nigeria, people would rather do that. You know, people would rather do that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like most people, most rich friends I have, like they go to like private schools there that pay like, you know, so much money as compared to like coming to the US, and you wonder like, oh, why is this person going to affect blah, 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 why is this person going to this
Yeah.
school, why is this person going to that school, because
Yeah.
maybe they're getting like, you know, their money's worth, you know, as compared to like coming here. But you know, everyone thinks differently. But again,
Yeah.
if our schools back home are really tech equipped with, you know, all these things there. And this was so like my brother, he goes to school back home, but he's still like in the elementary level. But still, like there are like some things like he tells me when I'm on the phone with him. I'm like, what the heck? He be like, so sometimes like his when he's doing an assignment and he's really like struggling to like do this stuff, and I'm helping him over the phone, and then I'd be like, why don't you just ask your teacher? And then he'd be like,
Mhm.
no, she's gonna yell at me.
Yeah.
See,
Ah,
they start at that early. He's just what just got into the sixth grade. Sorry, primary six.
yeah.
So he was in primary 5, 4 when he was telling me all this thing. So they start at that early age to instill fear in you that you can't even ask your teacher a question when you don't know anything. And you know what? I believe him because I remember that happened to me too. Oh my gosh, there's this when I was in primary 4. I remember we were doing learning how to use vowels, right?
Mhm.
Use a and an before a word. So I
Yes.
remember the word was Europe, Europe, European, a European man.
Mhm.
So I told my teacher the answer. So she was like, so what do you put behind? Do you put a or an? I was like a. And she was like, no, it's Anne. And I was like, no, it's A. And then it was a whole thing about like how I'm arguing with her. She even
You argue with
slapped
the teacher
me.
who knows best
Uh,
better.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember this. So I was 9. This traumatized me. I was 9. I remember that time. And I was like, no, it's A. And she was like, it's Anne. And it was a whole thing. She told me to kneel down, that I'm arguing with her. I'm da 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 da.
Oh my
You
God,
know,
poor
and
thing.
come to find out, like when she got the book, where she got it from, it was A.
You're right. You're
And
right.
she never apologized to me. She just told me,
No.
"Oh, I'm not. This is not my level of teaching." I'm like, bro, what? So things like that. That's where it's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to
This
learn. I
is
didn't
a
want to
good
go to school
example.
anymore.
No,
You
it's
know?
a good example. And this is what is lacking back home. We trust the teachers. And there was a time when we used to trust the teachers for knowing
Yeah.
better. But nowadays, and that's the difference between there and here. The teachers here and the parents are involved. I
Yeah.
remember going to my son's Montessori school and saying, he was right. The assignment you gave my son is not it's not kosher, and you have
Right.
that right. You have the right to sit in the classroom here
Exactly.
to see how they are teaching and to
Exactly.
volunteer. I don't think
Right.
that is encouraged back home because we give all the faith to
No.
the teachers, but not
Oh my,
nowadays.
no,
Yeah,
no.
they don't. Maybe we should start that to look at
We
least
really
starting from the
should,
homework.
honestly.
Yeah,
And I think, honestly, thanks to God, like some schools are actually like leaning towards that way of like, some
good.
modern schools are leaning towards that way of like getting the parents involved in like the
Yes,
children's like, education and stuff. I remember when I was in elementary school, there was this it was like an unspoken rule where it's like you can't tell your parents about what happened in school, and
mm,
it's like, and even if you do, like your parents can contact the teachers, otherwise you're gonna get like
yes,
stigmatized. Because I remember I remember like going home and like I'm having like I had like a really okay like example after that whole thing happened with my English teacher. I'm like really sad, and I never wanted to tell my mom because I'm scared my mom is gonna call the
yeah,
teacher and be like, why
yeah,
did you do that? Things like that, like they frown
yeah.
upon that. And it makes like when you start developing that mindset as a kid, you take it up to the secondary level, and then now you're in college, you in a different land, you don't even want to ask your teachers anything because you're scared they're gonna yell at you. Like
That's true.
that doesn't make any sense at
Well,
all.
the good thing is that I don't think it's all the teachers and those who are encouraging students to ask their questions should be encouraged.
Right.
And that takes me to the other point of the students. And this is where you see that when you bring our children out to in the diaspora, they can do better. Because of what we gave them at
Exactly.
home
Yep.
as discipline of, hey, you can do this, and seeing that you also, one thing I'm proud of you is that sometimes you thought what I call thinking outside of the box. When you
Yeah.
know that your parents were struggling to come up with the money that the school needed, even
Yes.
with the scholarship, and you are also working hard to
Yeah.
save money to do what you could, you started thinking outside the box. And that is like, okay, why am I paying all this amount to be in the dormitory while I can live
Exactly. Get
outside
an
of
apartment.
campus.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember we had a conversation. I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
okay,
100%.
let's look at what, and that's what I did for you guys. I didn't do it, like go into research and ask some questions on my own, which I then turn around to ask you guys. Have you asked this? Have you do this? And
Yeah.
eventually you were able to find out that you could live off campus and save money for yourself than paying the
Yeah.
school
Because the
all that
dorms,
amount. And
like,
you did.
yeah, because when you think about it, like when you look at like when you get your bills and stuff, you're like, where's this extra 15,000 coming from? And
Yes.
like I'm so confused. The whole time it's like the dorms, and mind you, these dorms aren't even like big. Like it's not even like you're literally sharing a room with like two or three other people. Like
Yes.
why am I sharing a space when I can go and thankfully the city I was staying in, like, it was it had like a good cost of living. So
Yes.
you can literally get like I remember I moved off. So the first place I lived, like when I moved off, I was I think I was paying like 250 a month because I was
Yes.
sharing it. I had a roommate. So
Yes.
I thought it was a good deal, honestly, for like a new to the US freshman, all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
it was 250 a month. That was great. Oh, if I could pay 250 a month for rent now, I would take it. So that was sorry, that was 250 a month. And then I went up to so after that I moved out of the apartment when this is like when I got my feet, and then the next apartment I moved to I was paying $600 a month. So if you think about it, when you and
Mm-hmm.
so in a semester, I think a semester is like 4 months. So
Yes.
okay, for instance, for fall semester is 4 months. They can charge you like up to like 7,000 or even 10,000, I think, for that first semester for dorm and whatever. When
Yeah.
you can easily stay off campus, pay 600 a month, so
Yeah.
6 by 4, that's like 2,400. So you
Mm-hmm.
saved a huge amount of money. And
Yeah.
you're getting like it's a really spacious apartment. Just get your roommates. I had like my friends as my roommates, and it was great. And it was you had your own space, you had your own room. I mean, you have to pay for grocery and stuff, but like you can figure it out, instead
No,
of
but
paying like
for you guys, at least
yeah.
working in the school cafeteria, you could have your meals
Oh
there,
yeah,
and then
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my god, like
you
it
can.
was like we had like and that's like that's one of the pros, like we had
I remember that. I
this
remember
hustling
that.
this hustling mindset from back home. So like
Yes.
we're always like I would get, like oh my god, like right after work, like I would take the food I would eat home, I would always store it in my fridge
Yes.
and like heat it up,
Yes.
cook something up, or we would go to like working in food service, like we had so much friends like in the cafeteria and stuff. So I remember like I was friends with the chef on campus, and like he would always like give me food.
I
He would
remember.
always give me food.
I
Oh my
remember telling
god.
you the stories of when we were students at University of Minnesota, where
Oh my god.
the first job I got, coming into this country is working at
Yeah.
the McDonald's on campus, and
Yeah.
I would always choose the night
Yeah.
shift, because then the leftovers I will pack and
Yeah.
pack into a freezer,
Oh
and that
my
will be
god.
profs on my food for the whole week, warming it up for breakfast.
Yes. Oh my, I remember because we used to we worked at I worked at Chick-fil-A, so dealing with like a lot of meat, a lot of chicken. So we would always take like the chicken and because like here like they toss food like it's nothing. So we were like, no,
Yeah,
no, no, don't toss it. Like we'll take it
that
home.
does
We'll
it.
use it to we'll use it to cook soup, and that saved us money, because you will go to the butcher's shop and that would cost you like a lot of money for that meat. But it's
Yes,
like I would get that
yes,
free from work. And even
yes,
like when I used to work as a server at the restaurant and at the basketball games, they had great food. Like they had like briskets, they had like sauerkraut and all that stuff.
yes.
I would take them home, and they would want to toss like a whole pan. I'm like, no, 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 give that to me. I got roommates. I have
But they will
roommates. I
control
have
you though.
friends.
They will
They,
control
they
you
they
though, because
would,
it's
but
against
whatever, I
them.
guess. Yeah, they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, you can't take the food." I'm like, "But then like you're
Yes.
gonna toss it." Like,
Yes.
no, like I don't like I don't
They
want like
just turn their
no.
backs. They just
Oh
turn
my
their backs and
god.
let you pick those up
I would
because
just take
it's
it and
against
run. Like
the
I
law.
remember I was making I think I used to make like it was like $7 an hour then or $8 an hour then. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm making just $8 an hour. You think I'm gonna use this money to buy food when I can get food here? No. Or sometimes we used to eat at work before going home. That way we don't have to like, pay for food. Oh my gosh, like this is so nostalgic. Like, yeah, but that's like the whole like survival technique, okay? Like especially
Yes.
like the way like I was brought up. Like you
Yes.
said, like I didn't really like I didn't come from like a lot of money, but like that instilled like a lot of like resilience in me where it's like
Mm-hmm.
I had this survival mentality. Like I had to like I know like I had to like work for like what I eat and all that stuff. So I didn't really come here like feeling relaxed like, oh, some miracles
No,
gonna
you
happen
never
in this
did.
earth.
You never
No,
did.
like no.
I can
Like
account
you
for
have to
that.
lock, like there's a term like you have to lock in, like you have to like work so hard to like see your result. You have to ask questions. You have to do, and that's what some people think. Okay, like coming over here, some people think that where it's like, oh, the minute like you travel, the minute you japa and come over here, and everything is just like a bed of roses. Like you just
Yes,
like keep
That
going,
Japan
you
thing
know.
of Japan, I don't know what you call it about it, but it's some people don't believe that okay, there is a challenge also outside of
Oh no,
yeah,
no.
the
I remember recently my one of my friends I grew up with back home in Nigeria, she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey, I'm trying to like, school overseas. Like, can you like give me a lowdown, like, like your school and all? Like I really want to do this." And I was like, "Cool, like, I will help you because, I did the process. It was hard, but I did it, like, and I was giving her all the information. It got to the point of like, tuition. I give her like, a PDF of like what I pay like for tuition. And she was like, "This is so expensive. What is this?"
yeah,
I'm like, "You
yeah.
think it's a joke?" I was
People
like, "You
don't,
think it's a
people
joke? What?"
people don't know.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
the link I sent to you guys that your friend that is the mom that I know who makes my
Yeah.
clothes, and that's
Yeah.
how you guys got this. But people, I sent to some people, and they say, "Oh, we got admission." Then what? I'm like, now you're on your own because there's a difference between you getting the school and then you come in here because nobody's gonna carry that for you.
No.
And like, I'm not
Literally.
going to consign for you for such,
No,
it's expensive.
exactly. No,
Yes.
100%. And that's
It
like,
the
and that's like
matter.
what people don't know, and that's like
Yeah.
what people don't know. Like they only think like, and it's like people are not, and even some people that come here are not truthful with their experience because they don't want it to see like, oh, I'm suffering, or like, oh, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. Like, and that's where people like get confused. Like, we have to be like really transparent with this journey, okay? Like
Yes.
coming here, like it was just like when I came, like, I was 17. Like I was just things were just blurry. Like I'm like, oh my god, oh my. And I even remember at some point, like it got really difficult. Like my mom even told me, like, okay, you got to start coming back because
Yeah.
I gotta get bufu wine because we're sending
Yes.
like our child to school. Like there are schools back here, and I was like, no, I didn't come all the way here just to
You
like
didn't. You never
come
gave
back
up. No.
home. Like heck no. And thank God I did not. And I don't even blame her for saying that. Okay, like it's just because those are the times where it's like I was always crying, like I was
Yeah.
so confused,
Yeah.
like I was just a teenager,
That
like
that
in
that
a
really
no
tore
man's
my
land.
heart out when you guys would
Yeah,
do
no,
that.
like when you think about it, and I don't even blame her because if you're a mom and like your child is
Yeah.
like over the seas, 1,000 miles away, and
Yeah.
crying about like every and I remember my God, my parents did all they could. Like, uh,
Yes, they
I
did.
gotta give it up to the parents, like who send their kids
Yes.
abroad because it's not easy at all.
Mm-mm.
Like, it is
Mm-mm.
not. I remember
Mm-mm.
when I was in secondary school, one of my classmates who her brother was schooling here in Kansas, she was telling me about like how because we were the ones she's my really good friend, and we did the whole hustle mentality together back home.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I used to like I was asking, I was like, but like your brother's in the US though, like why you like hustling with me together, like you're supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
rich, since your
Mm-hmm.
parents have the money to send your brother abroad. She was like, please, like they literally just sold their last land to pay their brother's
Yeah.
school fees down. I was like, wow. Like in my head I was like, we are selling lands to go to
It's
school. Like,
tough.
bro, that is
It's
like that
tough.
is
It's tough.
crazy. But
Yeah.
thank God, like, now the guy is like he's an engineer and he's helping
Wonderful.
back home. So when you think about it, like it's hard, but that's an investment, okay? That's a big investment. I remember Auntie, you already know this. Like, there was a time, like, things were tough. Like, I was always
Yes.
on the phone with my dad back home.
Yes.
Like, and he's like, oh my God, like, what would I do? What would I? And it's
And
really like,
unfortunately, Auntie couldn't do anything
no,
financially because I'm still
exactly.
paying my
But
own
Auntie,
school
no, but
loan
Auntie, when you
from
think
all
about
these
it though,
years.
when you think about it, every disappointment is a blessing because
Yeah.
had it been you did, it would have been like I would have been relaxed. Like, oh, when you got back
Yeah.
from at some point, you know.
Yes. Yes.
I
And there
don't
are
have
many
that.
people.
Yeah, exactly.
There are many students like you.
Oh, when like I'll
Yes.
call. Oh, you know, I will like I'll call. Like if you did that, I would have been like, and then like God forbid I went into that. I was in that stitch again. I would have been like, let me just call Auntie to co-sign another loan, like things like that.
Yes.
And then I would not even think about the repercussions of like when I graduate, where it's like I have to pay back that money, you know. And like I said, like thank God because okay now with the whole what is it called, the whole big beautiful bill, they're taking out
Yes.
this grad plus loans, and
Yes.
we are only like gonna like take the loans from the FAFSA. And I
Yeah.
thank God that I don't have anything on my FAFSA, so now like if I eventually venture into this grad program, I have a good amount of money to take from the FAFSA to fund for college, sorry, to fund for
Because
grad
you
school. So
planned it, because you planned it.
exactly,
There are
exactly.
some other students or young ones like you who never thought about. One thing I didn't do, I never did for any of these students, is that I will be there for you for everything, but when it comes to finance, I
No,
can't. I
no,
can't carry any of that. So all I gave is the information or listen and
exactly.
cry with the other. But you, for example, you picked it up among some of other people that were like
Yeah,
mentors to me, or my what I call my proteges. They listened. And
yeah.
for example, you didn't even stop there. When you looked for a job, you looked for one that will sponsor your
100%.
your your residency and
Yeah.
your all that, and which is great, because many people don't even think that far. So
No,
I
see,
compliment you on that.
thank you. And you know, the thing is, like, some people don't understand that. Again, it all boils down to the Nigerian mentality, where it's like, when you tell them, like, oh, I can't do this for you, I can quit, then they start seeing as like a wine, like you're a bad person, like you don't want to, like, you know, they
But
like
I,
they
I
don't
was
like.
upfront. I was
No,
upfront telling you guys from
yeah,
beginning. Yeah.
no, honestly, and that's the thing. Like it's the honesty. When you tell people like where it's like, oh, I can't do this. Like I can't. Like I literally cannot go sign for it because like it's not even just because like I don't want to. There's like a lot of things that like what's it called, that comes with it. Like when you talk about like funding, and that's what I tell people. Like some of my friends are like the one that like emigrate. I'm like, well, it's all great and all, but you have to like have like funding. I remember when my sister was gonna like come over here, before she came over, I was
Mhm.
telling her like, oh, this like, like, yeah, like, the education is good, but like, Ijikwego, like, you got the funding and
Aha.
stuff. So she was lucky, she was blessed to find like, a program that, that funded her stuff, her
Yeah.
research and all, and paying her to go to school, things like that. So
Yeah.
and that's the good part, because
Yeah.
like it would have like, God forbid she came over and she's like, oh, like, I need like a loan, I need this. I'm like, I can't do that. Like even for my own sister, I can't even go, because it's like this way, like when you think about it, I don't think like we don't do like in Nigeria, we don't like deal with credits and stuff. Okay, so
Yes.
maybe they do, but like it's just like it's not really as big as it is like where like your credit is your life. It's kind of like your lifeline, like where you just got messed up like that. So these are things like you start thinking of like early, like when you first get here. And I'm glad, like, like I said, every time it's a blessing, because like when at that young age, at that teen age, that's why I started learning about like finances, credits, how to manage your money, how to be frugal, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, even me, even to this time, I'm still frugal. I mean, sometimes I'll spend myself like
Yes,
here
you
and there
are.
because I deserve it,
It's a
but
good
like I'm
thing.
still
It's a good
frugal,
thing.
yeah. Like it's the
But you know
PTSD.
why I
Like
like your
I can't,
I
I
like your
can't like
frugality,
spend
because
money.
one of
Yeah.
the things, yeah, I still like your frugality because it doesn't extend to everything. One of the things we talked about said have some fun while you are still young and
Oh
doing this,
yeah.
and for you to take the time sometimes to go on vacation here or
Yeah.
there, since you finish school, and it's good. I like that. Whenever
Yeah.
you call me from, yeah, Auntie, I'm over here, I'm having fun. I'm like, good for you. Just be safe and come back to work. So
Yeah.
let's think about something a little bit. I think we've exhausted about that area, and you're giving good example. One of the things I know, you are also cultural. So
Yeah.
being from, you are African, we know that, and you
Yeah.
are a Nigerian by birth, that. You are
Yeah.
Igbo from what tribe are you, and be say,
Yeah.
you are a young professional with, I know, like, look at you, getting into ICU of all places. I say that's huge. And planning to go into a program, anesthesiology aspect of nursing. That is also
Yeah.
great. So
Yeah.
all these, bottling down, and the last time they say USA
Yeah.
had their annual convention, and they were holding in the city where you are. I
Yeah.
encouraged you to go and see how your people do stuff. And you were able to take out time from your busy schedule to attend at least the young
Hmm.
adults aspect. Tell us a little bit about it. What did you find good? What did you not like much? What could you improve and all that?
Yeah. It was honestly, I'm just gonna be really honest. It was great, Auntie. It was a
Awesome.
really great outing. It was actually more than what I expected.
Good.
There was there was a huge sense of unity and belonging there.
Mhm.
Like I kind of like expected it to be like, because when everyone was like NBC US, NBC USA, like I was thinking like it was maybe like there was actually, it was just for like Ndioki. I didn't think like it was for like youth and all,
No,
and
the
then
youth program has always been strong. The youth
yeah,
program has always been strong.
I didn't
I
think
don't
of
know
that.
about the rest of it, but the youth aspect, I always
Yeah,
vouch because I've
it
been
was
also part of it.
amazing.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and I know like my dad kept encouraging me to go, and I did go, and I'm glad I did. Like it was great until like it
Awesome.
was just being around like like the youth, people who share like the same background,
Mhm.
the same, because I remember I kept like when I was like mixing up with them, I was just like telling them like there's UIU as well, UIU, which is
Yeah, I
great.
know. I've told you about
Yeah,
we will
yeah,
unite UIU, and you're
yeah.
still planning to go to that, right?
Yeah, I probably will go next year. But
Yes.
like it's
Go.
like because UIU, when you think about UIU is mostly for like just Igbo people, right? Like
Yes.
anywhere, Enugu, Abia, Anambra.
Yes.
But this
All
like
professionals too.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, yep. Professional youths. And
Mhm.
this MBC was more, it just felt so dear, so more so home to me. Like I just felt like, okay, like these are my
I'm
people.
glad.
Like, I really felt at home there. Like it was just like I loved like the chance to like network and exchange ideas. Like these are professionals. And these are not just people like who can like, oh, like let's just now. Everyone has something doing. I know, like I met like a pharmacist there. I met like an engineer there. Like there was like IT. I was like, wow. Like I
Yes.
felt so in place. Like being a
And
nurse,
those
and I
are
was like,
those people your age too. And
is that yup, yup,
yes.
yup. People like
Yeah.
in med school and all, like
Yeah.
like it was not like it was not just like about the culture. I mean, mostly about the culture, but like but also about like school and like the careers and all. Like
Wonderful.
it was really really inspiring to see that our cultural pride is still alive
Yes.
in our generation, and
Yes.
we have like a strong support system here in the U.S. to keep that going. Like it was so great, honestly. And even
And
like
what
the
I
so
like,
yeah, no,
one
go
thing I
ahead.
liked much about it is also the not the administration, the handling of that youth area is by
Yeah,
you guys, the youth,
yeah,
the young
100%.
ones, the young
And even
adults.
yeah, and they are really active, like even like on the WhatsApp group chat, like it's not the ones that where it's like, oh, someone would say something and no one would text back. No, everyone is it's all about like growth. It's all about enrichment. The minute like someone posts something like, hey guys, I'm doing this survey for my job, da 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 da, everyone fills it out. Everyone's always like encouraging. Everyone gives a thumbs up, everyone does something. Okay, it's like now we're planning for next year's convention.
Good,
We've already
good,
started planning for next year, and it's
good.
like everyone's like, they're like, drop your ideas. Like, what do you I remember I filled out a form saying, they were like, what do you want to see more? What do you want to
Yeah, I was
learn
going to ask you
more?
that.
Yeah.
What did I know you shared with me that you loved it, and that's why I added it there so that people will come, the young ones will come together. But what do you think should have been added that's not you didn't see?
I feel like I said, I feel like I like a lot of us, like we all know amongst ourselves, like, oh yeah, we're from BC and stuff, and
Hmm.
like some people like knew their villages and all. I just feel like we should see more of like learning or speaking more of our dialects, like there's like things
Ah,
that are like really like like, and that's what keeps it, that's what makes us unique, okay, like that's what
yes.
like keeps us different. So like for instance, like if I come to like a convention and I see and you're like, hey Ollie, I'm like, oh Ollie and Tam. So like that you me and you, we both of us know understand that because we are from BC, you understand. I know that
Yes.
Tam means sister. I know Olia is the way we greet. But if I tell someone from maybe someone from Ohaji, if I tell them Olia, they're gonna look at me like, what are you saying?
Yes,
Things like
yes.
that. So like I was
Let
like,
me correct you right there. I don't know
yeah,
if Olia
exactly.
is it's said in Mbise, but I don't know if it's ours. I mean, my son asked the other day, Mom, is it Ototo or no no? You know, which is good morning. Ototo is used in Amuzi, where he comes from, as the where but Ototo is like the other central. And if you ask somebody else in Mbise, we have so many different
Oh,
little dialects
100%.
that make us you know where in here people say here, some people say where. So
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong, and that's the reason we have problems with Central Igbo. We don't.
Right.
You ask a Anambra person, they have another version. You have unlike the Yoruba and Hausa languages where they have it. One word is maybe mean many things, but
Exactly.
they're all there. But
Yeah.
in Mbise or Igbo language, it's so diverse. So
Exactly, one
I
hundred
agree with
percent.
you. I agree with
Yeah,
you, but
like
it's hard.
things that, and it's like the other time I was gonna like I found out like a couple people don't know about like the Irigora culture, which is like what?
Mhm.
I was like, how do you not know about the Irigora culture? Like that's like the main thing. Like what do you mean? Like I
I did a regret on my podcast because I taught some youths how to really talk about get
yeah,
the presentation on a regret. I wanted them to understand that, and that brings also to Dirty December. We have Dirty
yeah,
December that happens in anywhere in the cities, but then we have our own Dirty December
right,
in
yeah,
quotes as a regret, for example, in
yeah,
Mbise. Yes, and any
exactly.
other city. Yes,
And
yes,
and that's like one of the things like I want to enlighten them on because I feel like some of them just because they say things like, oh, my family, like, we have like parties and stuff in December. I'm like, maybe that's what it is. Because from what I understand, like, I mean, I haven't been home in a long time, but from what I
mm,
understand now, the Irigura culture, people are making it like parties like now. Like people are bringing like masquerades and stuff like during their Irigura
yes,
day.
yes.
Which I
Yes,
honestly,
it should be. It should be
yes,
because
because that's
we
a
have a unique
tradition.
thing that we celebrate Christmas. Unlike here, you see, Christmas Day is gone.
Oh,
The
yeah.
next day is but in Nigeria, especially in Igbo land, we celebrate for 8 days.
Exactly, like the
Yeah,
whole thing. Like
yeah.
I even saw recently that they've dropped the dates for actually they will go out for this year. I think the one for because Awomoye is Yama, so my Izyama
Uh-huh.
is December. I want to say December 31st. The case Yama is December 31st, and that's
Mhm.
just me. It's just this burst of excitement because I even like as much as like I got here when I was like younger. When we were kids, I remember going to village like but the minute we hear like Uruguay did like we just get so excited like like oh my god I'm just
It
thinking
still
about it right now.
happens.
Yeah,
It still
exactly,
happens.
and
Yeah.
I try to tell
Safety.
them like yeah I try to
I
tell
think
them like
safety
like this.
disrupted it a little bit. Yeah, but
Yeah,
we
exactly.
still
And
are.
I like that. I like the way it's there. It's still evolving, people are some
Mhm.
people are scared that like our culture is dying and all, but it's really not.
Mm-mm.
Like
Mm-mm.
if it
Mm-mm.
was, Derry would have been gone a long time ago, but it's
Exactly.
still there. It's still there. Okay. I mean our parents are getting older, but like us younger ones, like, we're still like keeping the tradition going. Like the youths are still keeping the tradition going. And that's what I try to tell them. And even they're also another thing that they're doing within the MBC USA thing is to bring more funding because I know they also have like they have the MBC medical mission back home, which
Yes.
is more of like the adult part. But I think like the youth, like we want to start like our own like what is it volunteering like mission work and all like especially when there are like this much professionals in our organization. So we
Now,
want to like start like 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 using our resources to help the
you
community.
know what
Like,
Auntie will say. You know
yeah,
what Auntie will say in that. The
I
ball
know.
is now in your court, and leaders like you, and I see you as one, and I have a lot of you, and I will mention, my other girls there. I know when I did that, it was okay for my Philadelphia aspects. I had Chinenye Chukwu, who passed,
Yeah.
led that. We have a lot of you guys who are leaders, and this is why I'll give you an example. Is when we used to go home. My son was growing up, and he will see us, Dad, making sure that every Christmas the men in the community in the village get their own Christmas gift, whether it's in form of cows or
Yeah.
goats or anything. And the
Yeah.
women, I make sure they get it. So one day he started asking, "What about the young ones? Nobody brings them together. I'm like, the ball is in your court." That was how he started dropping the ball, dropping every year when he's able to go home, to show people that okay, the youths can also enjoy. So this is the ball in your court now. You can put together some of those young professionals who can do this and show your parents how it's done properly, or your own version of it.
Right. Yeah.
You can put together, it doesn't have to be, it could be even that irregular time. It becomes another
Yeah.
version of irregular to
Oh
show
yeah.
the world that
100%.
you
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
And
So introduce that to your
yeah.
group. Yeah.
I'm actually like just
Yeah.
really like excited that like I said, like there was like I think it was more than like 100 to 200 like youth out here like during the convention
Yes.
this year. I'm really just excited, like it's like a great number of people like who are like interested in this cause and this organization, because I promise you, as a youth, if we don't want to do something, we're not gonna do it. So,
I
and it's
know.
like it was
I
just I
know.
was so like you just know
Tell me
how it
about it.
is, and I was like, and I was so surprised how like everyone's like looking forward to like next year's event. Like we've already started planning or they started like preparing for it. I'm like, wow, like
And
this
then
is
you can bring
nice. Like
other
these are
people.
people like who are like rooted like in their culture and all. They want to like
Yes.
they really, as much as like most of them were born and raised here, they really want that touch like feel for back home. They really want that
Yes.
touch for back home because
Yes.
most of them, some of them like they didn't really get the chance to like visit home. Some people haven't really visited home. They know they're from Mbisi, but they've just never
Yes.
visited there before. And I won't even blame them. Okay, I'm not gonna blame their parents, but they're not gonna fly when they're kids. They're not gonna fly all the way from here back home. On their own. You gotta
You
think of
just
it that
Auntie's feeling in that, because this is why I stand for the kids. When the people start pointing fingers, they call them names children. I said, no, 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 don't do that. Because, and most of them say because they can't speak. I say, yeah, it's good for them to learn the language, but it's not
way.
all of it. You
Right.
bring other things together, they will absorb the language through all these activities, like you're talking about now.
Right. Yeah.
There is a reason why somebody asked me, why do you do what you do? I said, it's not because I get rich out of it. I just want people, the young ones, to experience what I did experience growing up.
Exactly.
And you
Yeah.
guys are getting it now. And what does that mean is that let the young ones also add their own, text to it or texture to it, and make it what they think will work for them. And I'm glad you are saying it now. I used to participate a lot with giving them lectures,
Yeah.
but then work, travel, and sometimes
Yeah. Other
have
engagements.
stopped me from
Yeah.
going. But
Yeah.
I am so happy that you experienced that.
Oh
Now,
my
the
God, it
other
was so
question
good.
that I have for you is, having seen those youths in diaspora
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about your own fellow youths back home, do you think there's a huge difference between the two, apart from education and all that, ready stuff that we talked about, in their behaviors? Do you think there is a whole lot difference, or what are the similarities or differences that you could just point out briefly?
I feel like I honestly don't. I feel like, for instance, like most of the youths here are very like goal driven.
Mhm,
Like they always like have a plan. Like they want something going for them, you know.
mhm.
And this is not to say like those back home are not, but it's just they don't have the resources to be, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, yes.
Like I would have okay, like I have a friend who she does hair. Like she's always, since I've known her here since college,
Mhm,
she's always been into like doing people's sewings, doing wigs, all that stuff. She graduated with her degree in health administration, and now she's going into this field of like medical, I think she says like medical craniotomy, where it's like you make like wig and stuff for people with cancer and
Ah,
all of that things. So you see, like that's that goal. Like you started off from just doing wigs and sewing. Now you're
education
diving in.
translating,
Right, exactly.
translating
Yep.
to something practical.
Thank you.
Yes.
Something more better. And that's what I like. That's what I see. Like for they use what they have to get what they
Mm-hmm.
want or what they really need. And I've seen
Mm-hmm.
so much of them here. I could give multiple examples. But and
Mm-hmm.
this is like not to say those back home are not. I feel like those back home are, but there's just like no resources. So
Yeah.
it's like if someone in Nigeria doesn't even know, like making wigs for cancer patients
Yeah.
are a thing, you know
Yeah.
like it's just there's just like nothing. There's like not like it's just no room for a lot of like professions. And that's why it's like most of our parents want us to just be doctors, nurses, engineers, and da, 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 that's it.
Exactly.
No, like
No,
and
but this
it's
is what I
yeah,
encourage, and I'll share some of these. There was a lady who couldn't afford to buy these Brazilian wigs, and so
yeah,
she discovered that using the plantain leaves,
yeah,
dry ones,
yeah,
and finessing it. Now she makes wigs with those, and people are buying them.
yeah,
Education over here prepares you in most cases to think outside the box and do stuff. Back home, that's
100%.
what I'm pushing for them to not belong, just wait for the government and the job all the time, and to look
Yeah,
around to say, and I've sponsored a whole lot of them to say, you can make
exactly.
skin cream, you can do so many things you can do with what you have and not wait for the
Exactly.
government.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some people
yeah.
do. Some people are really like, ambitious, and they
Mm-hmm,
like end up like, starting businesses and all. And which because
mm-hmm,
I have this friend who I went to secondary school with, and I know I think she went to either Absol Unizig, but she did like microbiology. But on the
mm-hmm.
side, she had this baking business where she
Yes,
would make cakes and small chops for like events and stuff. Like for big weddings, she's like making the cakes and you would think she's a baker professionally, which she is,
uh-huh,
but she is a microbiologist. I have
yeah,
this other friend who I think she did engineering at Futo, right? But she
mhm.
does hair, like wedding, bridal, she does that all the time. You would think
Yes,
that's her profession. No, no, no. She does. So it's like and that's what I'll give them props to. That's what I'll give the
yes,
youth props to. That they know that like the economy. They know like some of them know that like this major I'm doing, like when I graduate, like what am I gonna do for myself? Like what am I
yeah,
gonna get for myself? Let me have this on the side. Let me have this also on the side, and that takes them far. Like all these designer people, Vicky James and the rest, they didn't start from nothing. Like everyone started small. That takes them
that's
far. They're
true.
getting money from that.
That's
They're
true.
and if you think about it, they're tapping into like what's really popular in the culture. Because
Mhm.
back home, like these weddings, all that ashebi, everything is
Mhm.
really popular. Like it's
Mhm.
big, it's lucrative. So they're tapping into that. Like you wouldn't tap into like something like like for example, the medical cranial. Like I mean, yes, it's great, but like it's not. There's no demand for it back home. So like you wouldn't really tap into that. So I feel like some people are doing like what they can for themselves with the resources they have. There's some say there's like no financial funding, no financial resource. I feel like if you put your foot down, you put your best foot forward, you would definitely get something.
Yes,
I don't know what it is, but
yes.
you definitely get
I tell
something.
them that if you build it, they will come. And this is a challenge to majority of those young ones. Like you said, one problem I see that we do back home is if one person has success in braiding hair, everybody then goes into braiding hair. Not knowing
Right.
that not everybody has that talent to really do. Think of something
Exactly.
else original
Right. Yep.
that you can come up with. I have this young one who after graduating and doing her master's, she just one day called me out of the blues and said, Auntie, what do I do? I said, build a portfolio. And what talents do you have? She didn't know she had the talent of making beads, making, doing head ties, that girl
Hmm.
at that time, doing skin, all of this. She was able to, but now she is an entrepreneur by herself,
See.
hiring other people because
Yeah.
she now has expanded her business into much more. I didn't do much for her. It's just like listen and say, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about it? And she expanded that. So these are the things we can do for these young ones. Think outside the box, and that's how the world is growing. Don't tiptoe or no, I mean, step on each other's feet doing the same thing. Nigeria,
Yeah.
that they say is full of money to be made, is just think of something. Every little thing there you can explain. So if you have started and thinking this could work and you're putting it together and it comes to then the big idea that you cannot market it wholly because you don't have finance, no, you will get finance, but
Yeah.
show that this is possible out there by even showing what you said, that the people who you have
Exactly.
sold them to locally that can
Yeah.
testify that it works,
And,
right?
and like when you think of it, like it's like when you so say for instance you auntie, so like if you go back home and then you see someone like maybe a young lady doing something like beading and all,
Mm-hmm,
and usually she's
mm-hmm.
interested in that, that would give you the zeal to like, oh, let me give you 10, take this 10,000 and invest in
Yes,
yourself,
I do
or
that.
take
I
this
do
voucher
that.
and invest in yourself,
The one that
like
did
it,
bead, I also bought her beads and gave to
yeah,
women and said, try
e-
it. Let us tell her what
exactly,
is wrong.
yeah,
And they brought
exactly.
feedback and
Yeah,
or
and
Gele.
that and that and
So
that
yes,
encourages people, And
yes.
it's like I remember one time I was telling my dad like this is because I was like when I get back, like I really want to like give back to the community, like
Mm-hmm,
use my what I know to help them, like I'm
mm-hmm,
in the field of healthcare, so let me do like health screenings, all that stuff,
mm-hmm,
da 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 da.
mm-hmm.
And then he was like, "You're just setting up a big problem for myself." I'm like, "What do you even mean by that?" He said, when you get if I get someone's blood pressure and then the person has like high blood pressure, they'll tell you, oh, are you gonna
Exactly. And he's right. This is what NBC USA is doing that I sometimes find out, or any other person doing medical, that is that you find out, okay, let me test you and all that. Okay, yeah, I have that. Then what? And you leave me and go home. That doesn't
yeah,
solve my problem. So establish somewhere where I can go at least for people to regularly check
right,
or tell me
exactly.
my way of living to change or something as a follow up. So we
Thank
got to
you.
have
Like
that.
keep up with
Yes.
that, and that's what I was
Yeah.
like. That I was like, you that makes so much sense because I was like,
Hmm.
now it's like he was right. Like, so if I want to start like this whole screening process, then it's like I need like a medical file, a medical record for everyone I'm taking screening of. Then like that way I'm touching base with you. Like, did you take your meds? And that it's like a whole
Yes.
process. Like at this point,
Yes.
just build a whole hospital, a free clinic for
Yeah.
people to walk in, take
Exactly.
medications and all,
We
like
already
and
have
go.
clinics. We always have
Yeah.
little maternities there. Equip them with, you
Thank you.
give people
Yeah.
vitamins once in a while when you come, and then you think that bottle is
No,
not going
like
to run
it
out.
has to be like it has to be continuous, like at
Show
least like
them where
every
to
like
go.
thank you. Yeah, every like
Yeah.
4 months, like like do something. Like if you started, don't just stop like midway, like
Yes.
think the way I think of it as like myself. Like if I'm taking magnesium pills, I'm not gonna stop like after 3 months when that bottle runs out.
Yes.
Like fill it up.
Yes.
Like let's do a fill up. Like let's continue to. You're the one who encouraged me to start taking I was on my own. You told me to take magnesium pills.
Yes.
Now the three
No,
sorry
but
the
this
whole 3 month
this is
supplements.
idea.
Not gonna
Did
do
you
anything. Like it's just,
seriously,
I
this
don't
is
know.
the idea I want you guys to start propagating. Get a
Yeah.
few of your people,
Yeah.
your young ones, to, even if you establish one clinic in each of the local government areas,
Right.
and
Yeah.
each month is maybe $100, and
Yeah.
equip these places with the simple, the basic. Trust maybe one or two doctors who will be the consultants there once in a while. It starts from there, and you see people helping. The thing is that we don't kick off these things because we're afraid, oh, some people kick them off and tomorrow they die.
Right.
That's not the point, but it can be done. We're not like
Exactly.
huge. So I encourage you to push back and push these ideas into your
Yeah,
young
and
adult aspect
hopefully,
of MBC
yeah, hopefully
USA.
we
Yeah.
get it done because I know like sometimes like when I talk to my parents, like they're always like I don't, not even paranoid, but they're always like, when I talk to them about medications and all, and they're like, like, are these meds in Nigeria? Like, oh my God, like everything is fake, everything is doctorated right now, and
Mhm.
it's really like hard to like, hear. I remember like watching a video of this lady. I think she was a pharmacy tech, and she got fired because she exposed like her boss trying to
Yes,
give out this, I think it's Valium, this Valium
yes,
pills like OTC. And I
yes.
was like, oh my God, like, why are you getting fired for giving, it's things like this, like Valium as a medication, like, after you already know, like, what it does, like the
You know what
repercussions.
I
Yeah.
believe in? You know what I believe in, Chino, is that there are
Yeah.
good people everywhere.
Yeah.
And in
100%.
Nigeria,
Yeah.
there are people who are ready to stand on the tripod of truth, justice, and fairness. But we
Exactly.
don't have many people backing them up. And if you have a body, again, I keep saying to the people, it's not a boasting thing.
Yeah.
The survival of Umbisi and the rest of it is not just resting on the hands of those at home. The diasporans have a huge stake. They have a huge, and including our young ones out here. And that's my plea to you today. I know we have gone almost 1 hour 40 minutes
Oh
into
no,
this, and we're
Auntie,
going to
it
round
doesn't
it
even
up. Yeah,
feel like it.
no,
It
but
doesn't
it's
even
good.
feel like it.
Yes, because we're saying something, and then I know our people don't like listening to something lengthy, but I know that there are going to be so many who want to listen because we've
Yeah.
said a whole lot here. We talked about the schooling of those who are Japan and who want to get schooling in here. These are
Yeah.
the goods, the bads, and the uglies. We talked about those already here, the resiliency of doing that, and we've talked about the young ones in NBC, USA, and which reflects the rest of the Igbo
Yeah.
culture and of the Nigerian, of African culture, wherever you belong, whatever nation you have. Look at the grassroots, do what you can, and help wherever you can. And do you have any thoughts, any last thoughts for your fellow young ones before we wrap this up, Tina?
Let me see. So, to my fellow young people, so for those in the US, do not forget where you came from. Home is home. Home is gonna be home
Yes.
here, but there's always Invisible back home.
Yes.
Echefukwalolo, stay rooted in your
Yes.
culture, stay rooted in your but
Yeah.
also, take full advantage of like the opportunities here,
Yes.
network, grow, give back. Like that is the
Yes.
goal, because if we don't build our home, it's giant, like, it's giant, what's it called? My dad always says, "Ochoa kama joyi." So like we can't
Oh,
do that,
yes.
so we have to, like, we have to network. We're really blessed to be in a land here where there are like resources, helping us like achieve our goals. So when we
Mhm.
do that, let's not forget, like, our brothers and sisters back home. Mbise
Okay.
were imagine, so let's
Yes.
network, let's grow, let's give back. And yeah, to my brothers and sisters, in Nigeria, let's not lose hope. Okay, there is no grounds of losing hope. Our challenges are real, but our resilience is even stronger. Okay, let's
Yes.
let's all stay ambitious. Let's stay creative. Let's know that our voice matters, not just in Nigeria, not just in the village, but globally. Okay,
Yes.
whether it's here, whether it's back home, our generation has the responsibility to carry our culture forward while striving for excellence. Let's all stay united. Let's support each other. Let's keep pushing boundaries. Let's do more. No offense, Auntie, but like, let's do more than the older generation have done.
Yes,
Like,
that's
let's
our
let's do
prayer.
way
That's our
more.
prayer.
Okay, like
Every
let's
prayer that
let's
we
let's
have.
let's prove to them that, like, we're not just little kids who are not like rooted or invested in the culture. Like, let's just do way more than that. Okay, like that's
Amen
the
to
goal.
that. That's my
Amen.
girl.
Yes.
Amen to that. See, that's why I love you so. I mean, I am
Aw.
blessed because I don't have a girl from my womb, But I have so many daughters that I am so proud. I'm tickled
Yeah.
pink. And you, Chino, is one of those. I don't see you every day, but knowing that you are there and that with the little you have achieved so far, the more you have achieved so far, you still help. You send
Oh,
something to help those back home, and
oh
that
yeah.
really fills my heart. And my prayer, my single prayer for you, and always is that God will continue to guide you and take you to the highest peak you want to get to. And at the same time, please, God, give her a very good husband who will, I'm going there,
Oh my god.
who will, who will really work well with her and see in her beautiful heart what a good human being there is. And on that note, I am going to say thank you so much for coming to the program and sharing your wisdom and expertise. And we'll continue to talk, right? And
Absolutely, Nancy.
to your parents, I say thank you so much for raising such a beautiful young lady, and for God to put her in my path. I am nobody, I know nothing, but I am again blessed to have all these young ones who believe in me. And to my listeners, please subscribe. And there is more coming. We are going to talk about experiences that people will learn from, and much more. Keep listening and keep spreading this to those who need to listen to that. And on that note, Miss Chino
Mm-hmm.
Cyril-Nwokeke,
Yeah.
I love you dearly. You know that.
I love you too, Auntie. Thank you so
Bless your
much.
heart.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
coming on.
No
Bye bye,
problem.
sweetie.
All
Yeah.
right,
Thank
bye,
you,
Auntie.
everyone. Thank you, everyone. This is again your hostess, Dr. Maslin and Didier saying bye bye for now. Bye, everyone.